sounds, that person is following a misguided path and cannot see the Tathagata, the greatest creator. The Book of Songs, the 10 of King 1, Great Brightness, states, "This King 1, with great care, serves God and enjoys many blessings." The renowned scientist Stephen Hawking wrote in Chapter 8, The Origin and Destiny of the Universe, in A Brief History of Time, the general theory of relativity itself cannot explain these features or answer these questions because it predicts that at the singularity of the Big Bang, the universe began with infinite density, and at that point, general relativity and all other physical laws break down. It seems that science has revealed a set of laws which, within the limits of the uncertainty principle, if we know the state of the universe at any moment, these laws will tell us how it evolves over time. These laws may have originally been established by God. One possible explanation is that God chose this initial structure of the universe for reasons beyond our comprehension. This certainly falls within the power of an omnipotent creator. Unless it was an act of God to create life like ours, explaining why the universe began in this manner is exceedingly difficult. Humans have 6 sensory organs: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, so they have 6 perceptions: vision, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and spirituality. Humans use these 6 perceptions to communicate with the material world and the non-material world. If a person were blind, how could we convince them that light exists in the universe? How could we prove the existence of light? We would be unable to. Without sight, one cannot perceive light. If a person were deaf, how could we convince them that sound exists in nature? How could we prove the existence of sound? We would be unable to. Without hearing, one cannot perceive sound. If a person lacked spiritual awareness and was spiritually ignorant, how could we convince them that the greatest creator exists in the universe? How could we prove the existence of the greatest creator? We would also be unable to. Without spiritual awareness, one cannot perceive the greatest creator. Spiritual awareness is an innate instinct. Through spiritual awareness, one can fully perceive the existence of the greatest creator. Everyone has spiritual awareness, so why do they still fail to perceive the greatest creator? This is because their spiritual awareness is obscured or dull, similar to how impaired vision prevents one from seeing clearly. When vision declines, wearing glasses can help one see clearly. When spiritual awareness is dull, enhancing wisdom can help one perceive the greatest creator. Some have used a paradoxical question to try to deny the existence of the greatest creator. Can the greatest creator create a stone that he cannot lift? This question presents a dilemma. If you say no, it denies the greatest creator. If you say yes, it implies that the greatest creator cannot lift the stone he created, which also denies the greatest creator. Thus, no matter how you answer, the result is to deny the greatest creator, at least in terms of his omnipotence. The person who devised this paradox is either very clever or malicious, aiming to confuse people's spirituality and lead them away from the greatest creator. Such a person is either Satan or someone not favored by the greatest creator. Unable to partake in the truth, they attempt to make others believe it is unattainable, similar to the saying about sour grapes. The question, can the greatest creator create a stone that he cannot lift, is a trap. Similar questions include: are you a thing? How should one answer this question? Whether you say yes or no, you fall into the designer's trap. For instance, answering, I am not a thing, or I am a thing, leads to the same result. Therefore, paradoxical questions should not be answered directly with affirmation or denial. Instead, consider or counter-question based on the question itself. For example, in response to, are you a thing, you might ask, are you a thing, to see how the questioner responds. In response to, can the greatest creator create a stone that he cannot lift, you might ask, can the greatest creator not lift a stone he has created? The question, can the greatest creator create a stone that he cannot lift, does not apply to the greatest creator himself, just as, are you a thing, does not apply to humans. Additionally, this question is inherently self-contradictory, meaning that any answer already implies a denial. Such questions have puzzled many philosophers and logicians. Here are some similar examples. Aren't you an animal born from your parents? Can eyes not see eyes? Isn't a person a non-animal? These types of questions cannot be answered directly but must be rephrased. The answer to the question of the greatest creator is, the greatest creator can create stones under any conditions. The greatest creator can lift stones under any conditions. Do you have further questions? If so, I can address them in this manner. First, I will ask, what does it mean to lift? If holding a stone with both hands and placing it above one's head constitutes lifting, then what about this definition? If not, what does lifting mean? If so, suppose the stone is the earth, and I stand upside down, holding the earth with both hands. Is the earth above my head then? You might argue that it isn't, because the earth is below my head. Fine. Then, if I move along the earth's meridian 360 degrees while performing the same action, the earth should be above my head at some point, right? No. So, which point in the universe is above us? Which point is below us? You might then argue that even though my hands are holding the earth and the earth is above my head, it's not me lifting it but the earth's gravity pulling me. If so, we must first reconsider the meaning of lifting. What then is lifting? Regardless of how lifting is defined, by changing orientation, I can claim to have lifted the earth. If you agree that I lifted the earth, then I can prove that I did not lift it. So, does the question, can the greatest creator create a stone that he cannot lift, hold? We must seek the greatest creator and understand the greatest creator, otherwise, we will never grasp the origins of the universe, the origin of life, the past and future of humankind. We will also fail to understand animal instincts and the purpose of life. I am 46 years old and have worked in over 20 different professions: shepherd, farmer, laborer, youth league secretary, clerk, party branch secretary, instructor of a commune cultural propaganda team, fitter, electrician, auto mechanic, middle school teacher, office staff, office director, translator, driver, salesperson, grocery store manager, restaurant purchaser, bar attendant, nightclub manager, fast food manager, and real estate developer. Except for the roles of office director and restaurant purchaser, which I held for only 2 months each, I have worked in all other positions for more than 6 months. What have I gained from working in so many different occupations? The gain is that a life without faith and without a goal is like a cloud floating aimlessly in the sky, driven by the wind. A few years ago, a mysterious car accident I experienced personally prompted me to start exploring the meaning of life. What am I living for? For the motherland and the nation? Nonsense. I can't even solve my own survival problems, yet I talk about the motherland and the nation. For my parents? Definitely not, because if it were for them, I wouldn't be able to continue living after they passed away. For my partner? That's absurd. If I didn't exist, my partner might actually live better. For my children? No, why do people without children still continue to live? My children have established their careers, so why should I keep living? Living not only doesn't help my children anymore, but it also adds trouble and burden to them. For myself? Ridiculous. I can't decide my own birth, nor can I decide my own death. If I could choose, I would prefer to have no life, to be a zero. So, who brought me into this world? Am I a random product of my parents' accidental union? Absolutely not. The universe is governed by laws and rules, everything is inevitable, and there are no purposeless accidental events. Everything that exists has its own purpose. So, what is the purpose of my existence? I can't tolerate living such a vague and confused life. Either I die, or I live clearly and transparently. Even if I don't know where I came from, at least I need to know where I'm going. Otherwise, if I were to suddenly encounter another car accident and die tomorrow, wouldn't that be an injustice? Will money help me understand the purpose of life? It seems that no millionaire in the world has ever solved the problem of life's purpose. If I wait until I am rich, I might not have much energy or time left to figure it out before I die. Besides, money is not something that can be obtained just by wanting it, otherwise, everyone would be billionaires. Will power help me understand the purpose of life? Throughout history, how many emperors and ministers have appeared, yet which one of them understood the purpose of life? Who among them left us a treasury of classical advice? Will becoming a scientist help me understand the purpose of life? Even greats like Newton, Einstein, and Stephen Hawking didn't understand the origins of the universe, humanity, or life. Can I, after becoming a scientist, understand more than they did? Moreover, just as I am not naturally gifted with a singer's voice and cannot become a singer, can I become a scientist? I cannot dream such dreams. Will becoming some other kind of expert help me understand the purpose of living? Probably not, just like archaeologists and anthropologists who keep changing their theories about human origins. One moment they say humans originated in Europe, then Asia, then Africa, based on a few fossils they've uncovered. This kind of theory is unreliable, as they might discover another fossil somewhere and claim humans originated in Antarctica. Will reading the Bible help me understand the purpose of life? Perhaps I am not gifted, but after reading the Bible for years, I still haven't had an awakening. Where exactly is the kingdom of the greatest creator? Does it already exist, or will it come in the future? If it is in the future, then where and when will it happen? Is the future 1,000 years, 10,000 years, or 100 million years? My life is only a few decades. Can my body be resurrected? How is it resurrected? Jesus is God, no doubt about it, but are there other gods who can restrain Jesus? If there are no other gods, why did Jesus have to suffer? Why did almost all of Jesus' disciples die violently? Can't God control his own destiny? As God, why couldn't he protect his few disciples? Why must suffering be the path to future blessings? I hope that Buddhist scriptures can point me in the right direction. Buddhism discusses concepts such as past lives, future lives, samsara, karma, and the interplay of causal conditions, all of which are meaningful. But how exactly does karma transform? How should one live to ensure a better future life? Where exactly is the Western Pure Land? What is it like? I haven't read all the vast Buddhist scriptures, nor do I dare to make rash conclusions. But Buddhism has existed for over 2,000 years, and it still can't make people understand the purpose of life. If life is merely a process of suffering, why did the greatest creator create so many beautiful things for humans to enjoy? If the purpose of life is to become a Buddha, then what is a Buddha? How does one become a Buddha? What is the probability of becoming a Buddha? If 1,000 people practice Buddhism and only 2 to 3 people can become Buddhas, wouldn't the rest have wasted their life and lost their joy? Money, power, and status, scientists and other experts, Christianity, and Buddhism all have their own reasons, but none can make people live clearly and understandably. Moreover, as an ordinary person who can't even solve the problem of daily meals, how can I have the time to master social sciences, natural sciences, and religion? Is there a shortcut? Can I bypass God's and human-acquired knowledge and seek the greatest creator directly, since only the greatest creator knows everything and has the final decision? Where can I find the greatest creator? Read the Book Without Words, by observing the sky, the earth, people, and things. Fortunately, I have engaged in over 20 different types of work, experienced many hardships, and, after graduating from high school, attended school 3 times, living in rural areas, small towns, and big cities. This allows me to connect various phenomena and events for chain thinking, but the result is still rather vague. Where is the problem? By chance, I read the Quran and was greatly inspired. The Quran says, "O assembly of jinn and mankind, if you are able to pass beyond the regions of the heavens and the earth, then pass. You will not pass except by authority. Yes. How can I escape the bounds of heaven and earth without borrowing the authority and help of the greatest Creator? How to borrow the help of the greatest Creator? Rely on spiritual awareness. Humans are part of the universe, heaven and humans correspond. If a small thorn pricks the toe, the brain immediately senses it. If I send a thought fax to the greatest Creator will surely know. Sure enough, the origins of the universe, life, humanity, and 36-dimensional spaces gradually appeared on the screen of my mind. And the issue of fate resolved itself without further explanation. At this point, I recognized the greatest Creator, recognized God Jesus, recognized Buddha Shakyamuni, recognized celestial ancestor Laozi, recognized humanity, understood the universe, time, space, energy and material, the physical body and the spiritual body, the essence of life, and the purpose of living. I recognize the greatest Creator through spiritual awareness, but spiritual awareness can only be understood and cannot be conveyed. To spark interest, I used 40 natural phenomena and 8 logical inferences to forcibly prove the existence of the greatest Creator and explain the 8 characteristics of the greatest Creator and the 8 relationships between the greatest Creator and humanity. Whether you can sense the greatest Creator depends entirely on your own spiritual awareness and wisdom. There is a supernatural soul in the universe. 40 evidence proving the existence of the greatest Creator. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Tsong Long and Ailian. Open the windows, the sunlight and fresh air will come in. Take a broad view, you will see the faraway mountains fresh and green. Stay and study in Lifechanyuan, a new life will begin. Your spirituality will grow, and your thinking will transcend the limitations of human nature and ethics. Once we calm our minds, we can feel that there is a supernatural power in control of the movement of the universe, the birth and death of all things, and the track of human life. No one can deny fate, yet no one can grasp their own fate. Everything around us seems to be prearranged by certain powers, and we are only moving according to the life courses assigned to us. So, does such a supernatural power exist? Is there a super wisdom in control of the entire universe? If there is not, then how did the universe come into being? Where did the variety of life forms on the earth come from? If there is, where could the supernatural power be? What is its form? Does it resemble a man? What characteristics does it have? Why can't we see it? Does it care for humankind? How does it manage this astronomical universe? How can we get to know it? The orderly operation of the solar system needs someone's design. The solar system, with the Sun at its center, consists of the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, comets, the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, meteoroids, interstellar matter, the Earth's satellite moon, and other asteroids. Other celestial bodies revolve around the Sun, attracted by the Sun's gravitation. Among them, the 9 planets revolve in the same direction around the Sun along nearly round orbits in approximately the same plane. For billions of years, the solar system has been running in the Milky Way galaxy in an orderly manner, without any mistakes. The 9 planets, the Earth's satellite moon, and other asteroids have unfailingly maintained the order of the solar system, cooperating tacitly with each other, obedient and conforming. There has never been any bullying. There is a high degree of organization, discipline, and unity. If any planet does not obey the command and acts on its own, the whole solar system will immediately be knocked over by other stellar systems in the galaxy. The main task of the whole solar system is to sustain life on Earth. If this order is disturbed, humans will also perish. To live harmoniously, even a big family of about a dozen people need some domestic disciplines to keep it in line. A company, no matter how small, must have rules and regulations to survive and develop. A house should have a design before builders can begin work, how the doors, windows, kitchen, living room, bedrooms, and bathrooms should be arranged. To survive, even a pack of wolves, a swarm of bees, a cohort of ants, or a flock of sheep must have a leader in charge, otherwise, the result will be a state of disunity and chaos. Let's take a look at the general manager's office. The desk, chairs, bookshelf, sofas, tea table, telephone, and other objects are all arranged in an orderly manner. The tea table will not be placed on the desk, and the chairs will not be put on the sofas. Why? Because they have already been designed and arranged. Let's have a look at the workshops of a factory. The lathes, milling machines, planers, drill presses, workbenches, grinders, and tool cabinets are arranged in an orderly manner. They are not randomly placed or cluttered together. Why is that? It's because someone is organizing and arranging them. Let's take a look at the assembly workshop of TV sets. There is a strict order for the assembly of different components. Is this order formed naturally? Of course not, someone is doing the design and arrangement. Let's take a look at everything in nature and every activity in human society. It is not difficult to discover that all have been organized and arranged by someone or some certain brain. Then, how about the orderly functioning of the solar system? Is it not designed by someone? By logical reasoning, we can infer that there must be someone in charge of the creation and arrangement of the solar system. But who is this someone? He must be the designer and organizer of the universe and the wise omniscience, the greatest creator. 10. 8 features of the greatest creator. Xiefeng. 6. The greatest creator is merciful. Knowing about the suffering that was experienced during World War II, some people have proclaimed that the greatest creator is dead, but this is slandering and desecrating the name. To understand the greatest creator with human emotions is drawing a conclusion with incomplete data. If we judge the features of the greatest creator through the perspectives of life and death or from the difficulty and poverty of people, it would be like appointing a rat to be the grand judge of the Supreme Court of the world. Can we judge that the greatest creator is merciless when we see a diligent elderly lady suffering from paralysis on her bed before she dies, or when we see kind and honest people suffering from misfortunes throughout their lives? Some people who are born with silver spoons in their mouths do not have any virtues, but they obtain power and wealth with ease. They do a lot of immoral things in their lives but die peacefully in their old age and have splendid funerals. Can we judge that the greatest creator is biased for those people and against good ones? To understand the mercy of the greatest creator, we cannot use the right and wrong criteria of people. We have to make these judgments from the perspective of time-space, life cycle, and the level of spiritual nature. From the chapter of Universe, Time and Space in the Chanyuan corpus, we have known that there are 36 dimensional spaces in the universe. The life cycles among the heaven world, Elysium world, cathode black hole body, the 10,000-year world, the 1,000-year world, mortal world, anode black hole body, livestock world, animal world, plant world, the insect world and bacteria world form the other 2 life systems, hell world, frozen layer and inflamed layer. Human beings are in the middle world, the mortal world. And the spiritual nature of mankind is lower than that of the God, Buddha or celestial beings, but higher than that of the livestock, animals, or plants. The level of the spiritual nature descends from the heaven world to the plant world. For instance, the God knows everything in the universe. And the Buddha knows everything in the fairyland, mortal world, animal world and plant world, but not in the heaven world. The celestial beings only know everything in the mortal world, animal world, and plant world, but not in the Elysium world or heaven world. The human beings only know about the animal world and plant world, but not in the fairy land, 10,000-year world and 1,000-year world, Buddha world, Elysium world, and the God world, heaven world. The animals only know the plant world, but not the other life spaces. The plants are the most ignorant life, knowing nothing about the universe and can only take everything upon them. From the perspective of God, human beings are ignorant. From the perspective of Buddha, the human beings are evil. From the perspective of celestial beings, human beings are short-sighted and stupid. But from the perspective of mankind, human beings are intelligent, though some are good and some are bad. From the perspective of the animals, human beings are inconceivable and horrible. From the perspective of the plants, human beings are fantastic and great. Human beings' ignorance manifested in, they don't know where they are from or heading towards. Throughout their life, they are in a muddle, giving up those they should have and pursue things they shouldn't have. When living, they don't know why they live. When dying, they don't know how they die. Human beings evil manifested, they bully and even kill each other, show disrespect to God and Buddha, conceited, hunt the wild animals, and pollute the waters. If the greatest creator is not merciful, how can we be allowed to abuse the earth created by him? From the perspective of human beings, the genetic engineering is a great, marvelous and promising career. But if we see from the angle of the greatest creator, it is dangerous and evil. Someday in the future, mankind will pay for it. If the greatest creator is not merciful, he will not give us the admonishment and warnings. Imagine we have raised several dogs in our homes. If these dogs have learned to unlock the bedroom doors, what will happen? Human beings are short-sighted and stupid because they only care for the short-term and individual interest, instead of the long-term and collective interest. People tend to spend their time making money and seeking fun, reluctant to take time to think about the meaning of life. The result is that they have harvested dozens of years of joy but lost the happy life enduring thousands of years. Everybody understands that if everyone is honest, the mortal world will become the paradise. But the fact is that everybody just plays tricks while hoping the others are honest. And only a few of the human beings are honest. Most of them are simply tricky. They not only messed up their own life, also lost the bright future. Now let me answer those 3 questions raised in the above paragraphs. When the diligent elderly lady had to suffer from the paralysis on bed for years before she passed away, what does it imply? An ambitious and wise boss is aware that, before appointing a staff to an important position, it is imperative to give him the opportunity to experience all difficulties and take almost all tasks in the company, and foster his virtues of selflessness and sacrifice. The stricter the boss is, the more rewards the staff will obtain in the future. Mao Zedong arranged his son to work as a peasant, worker and later a soldier in the Korean War. Why? He hoped his son would experience some difficulties and know about the common people first before taking the throne. The wise parents also know that they shouldn't spoil their kids by giving them whatever they want. Otherwise, they will not make excellent career in their future life. Too much indulgence in childhood can only lead to regret in the old age. In the eyes of the greatest creator, people are just in their childhood. Suffering is imposed upon us by the greatest creator in the hope that we can find a better place after our death, either in the 1,000-year world, or at least that we can return to the mortal world after death and enter the 1,000-year world after further self-refining and self-improvement. This is why wise people regard the greatest creator as the merciful Heavenly Father. Judging from the perspective of people, the greatest creator is really merciless to impose suffering on the diligent elderly lady before her death. However, if we stand in the boots of the greatest creator, we will find the mercy. It would be totally brutal to end her suffering before her death. The father of the late U.S. President Kennedy would not let others save his son about to be drowned in the river. For ordinary people, he was really merciless. But very few people knew that he was seizing the opportunity to let his son experience the sufferings, hoping he would become someone in the future. So the greatest creator is doing the same thing when imposing suffering on a good and honest person throughout their whole life, because doing so is just to cultivate their virtues so that they will be qualified to enter the 1,000-year world. The U.S. immigration policy has set many regulations. Only by following these regulations can one be qualified to live on this land. To work as a professor in Oxford or Cambridge University, you have to obtain certain level of education and experience. Even if you are lucky and have obtained a position there, you cannot maintain the job because the students will find the common sense mistakes and confused logics made by you. An excellent family will not allow their future generations to marry imprudently. A pure organization does not accept new members unscrupulously. The 1,000-year world is a piece of pure land, refusing the access of stinking people, just like the sitting room will not tolerate the existence of dog droppings or chicken manure. Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are